The Atlanta Braves dropped game one of the Baltimore Orioles 3-2. And once again, it's the same story that we've heard over and over and over again. Let's talk about it.
This is the Braves Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Atlanta Braves. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, author of the Braves Today newsletter over at bravestoday.com. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. Jake Mastriani got stuck in traffic on the way home from fireworks, so he's not here yet. He may pop in halfway through. We'll find out what happens. But we're here to talk about Atlanta's 3-2 loss to the Atlanta Braves. And in case he's not here, make sure that you subscribe to Locked On Braves wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. I'm sure Jake's going to have thoughts on what happened, again, in case he can't make it here by the time the show ends. But this is the same thing, practically the same show that we've seen over and over and over again. Shout out to Steven in the chat. Same old today. It's exactly what it is. The Atlanta Braves scored 2 runs in this game off of the home run. That's it. They hit a home run. They got the runs there. That's all that they did. Great stat from Ben Ingram on the radio, which if you're not listening to the radio call, I don't know what you're doing. I love CJ and Brandon. I love Ben as well. Ben is just so good on the radio. I try to listen to both whenever I can. But the Atlanta Braves have not scored a run that was not via a homer since Saturday. They have dropped 6 of 8 games, and I kind of looked at this as the game ended. They've dropped 6 of 8 games, and they've scored a total of 18 runs in that 8-game stretch. 7 of those runs came on Wednesday in that big inning, which again, most runs Atlanta scored in any inning all year was that 7-run inning on Wednesday. In the 6 losses in this stretch, Atlanta has a total of 4 runs. A total of 4 runs in the 6 losses. Like, we're going to talk about the pitching and Spencer Strider and the pen and all of that. We're going to get to that in the second half because I always like to talk about every aspect of the game. But again, it's a situation of the offense. Great point from David in the chat. 8 of those runs Atlanta has scored came off of grand slams. Like, they had 2 grand slams. It was literally the one big hit twice for 8 of those 18 runs and a 3-run home run for another one. And the most frustrating thing here, shout out to Sam in the chat, if the pitcher isn't perfect, we don't win. That's exactly kind of where I'm going with this. Is AA talked about this a couple weeks ago, and he said, we're not giving our pitchers enough of a margin for error. Spencer Strider was not bad tonight. He was not 2023 Spencer Strider. Okay? He was not that dominant version. But this was a quality start, and I'm not judging the start. Somebody got mad at me last time I said this on the show. That is a stat. 6 innings, 3 runs or less. This was a quality start. 7 hits, 3 runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Strider gave up 2 homers. All 3 runs from the Orioles came off of those homers. But Atlanta just could not do anything on offense other than the Drake Baldwin homer. The Braves finish with 6 hits. Riley does have a double off of Charlie Morton. Drake Baldwin obviously gets the home run off of Morton. But Charlie Morton, 5 1/3, 6 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk to 7 strikeouts. I talked yesterday, I made the joke about a revenge game. A lot of people kind of clarified. They said, hey, you don't have to be fantastic and have a revenge game to shut down this Braves offense. But that's absolutely what happened. And the most egregious thing here for me, there's a lot to not like about this offense, right? We've talked about it in the chat. These have become our therapy sessions after these losses, right? The most egregious thing to me is that most of those runs that I just talked about, a lot of those 18 runs that I talked about have come from your catchers. It's come from Sean Murphy, who had a grand slam, who had a solo shot, who had a 3-run homer. It's come from Drake Baldwin, who had a 2-run homer today. And like 4 people or 5 people in the chat have already mentioned this. And yet, despite the fact that most of those runs in your streak have come from your catchers, Atlanta refuses to put them both in the same lineup at the same time. And instead, Marcell Ozuna gets moved down in the order. They acknowledged that he's not hitting as well, moving him down to 5th, moving Jurickson Profar up to 4th. Marcell Ozuna goes 0 for 3 with a walk in this one. And when you look at what he has done recently, he literally has been one of the worst players in baseball. If Michael Harris can get benched for a couple days, why can't Marcell Ozuna, even if you don't put him on the injured list for 2 weeks, at the very least, Marcell Ozuna needs a break. And Wicked JR70 makes a point in the chat. It's risky putting both catchers in the lineup at the same time. That is clearly what is going on with Brian Snitker and the Braves and their reluctance to have both catchers in the lineup. They have done it before in Toronto when Ozuna was out for the hip injury. They did that. What needs to happen? Murphy needs to be starting. Drake Baldwin needs to be at DH. And when Marcell Ozuna goes on the injured list, which is not going to fix his problem, he needs to have a surgery to fix his hip. An injured list stint will not fix the whole thing, but it'll give him a break. He's not missed a game since the injury happened. He came back after the Toronto series, and since then, he has not missed a single game. Give him a break, put him on the injured list. You can call up a catcher out of Gwinnett. You've got options down there, including, I believe, Jason DeLay is on the 40-man roster. And Drake Baldwin can DH. Sean Murphy, who is the better game caller, he's a Gold Glove caliber defender behind the plate, one of the better ones. He can be your starting catcher. Because here's the thing, and Doug makes a great point in the chat. We have to play Ozuna, hope he gets hot, so we can get value in prospects back. If you put him on the IL, no team will touch him. There's no guarantee that you can even trade Marcell Ozuna. He has 10-5 rights, meaning he has spent 10 years in Major League Baseball. He has spent 5 years, the last 5 years, with his current team, meaning he can veto any trade without explanation. And there's a lot of problems on this roster, right? Ozzie Albies is a problem. Michael Harris is a problem. That 9th inning was the nightmare scenario for Atlanta based on, like, after Drake Baldwin grounded out, you had Ozzie Albies coming up who popped out. I think he popped out twice tonight. You had Michael Harris who grounded out. Almost kind of a nightmare scenario there. They would have pinch hit Sean Murphy for Nick Allen had Harris reached. But like a lot of problems. But one you can fix is getting Marcell Ozuna out of the lineup. And the frustrating thing is hearing Brian Snitker say, we don't have any plans to do a 2-catcher lineup right now. That's frustrating because Ozuna legitimately has been one of the worst hitters in baseball for over a month now. Because the last 30 games, he's batting 177 with a 269 on base and a 265 slug. The thing we were talking about is, hey, he's drawing a ton of walks this year. He's not even doing that now. He's not hitting for power. In his last 113 at-bats, he has 2 home runs. But he has 33 strikeouts to 14 walks. So you're in a situation where this offense is flawed. We all know it's flawed. There's a fix that you can do for one of the many problems, and they won't do it. And that's frustrating. I still don't know what you do about Ozzie Albies at second base. We don't have any other options there. You're going to play Luke Williams at second. Nacho Alvarez may be coming back next week is the rumor of what I've been told. And Gwinnett, maybe they give him a shot after the All-Star break. We'll see what happens. In just a minute, I want to talk about the pitching, and I want to talk about something that really bugged me about Charlie Morton's return, something the Braves did not do for him. We'll talk about that next, right here on the Braves Postcast. One of my favorite things to do on the 4th of July is to watch baseball, preferably in person. And some people approach that differently. There are folks who bought tickets months in advance for July 4th because they wanted to be there for the fireworks in Truist Park. There are some people who decided today that they wanted to go. And if they're smart, they got their tickets off of Game Time. Because Game Time's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch. They have incredible last-minute deals, a low price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying, and all-in prices that show you everything, fees and all that included. One of my favorite aspects, though, is the clear seat views. So in Game Time, in the app, you can see what the view is going to be from your seat. Not a bad seat in Truist Park, but if you travel, if you're at Wrigley or some of the older ballparks, Comerica's one that has issues with this too, there's obstructed seats and seats without great views. The Game Time app is fantastic for that. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. We're going to get to the pitching staff real quick. I do want to point out one more thing. Shout out, I can't find it in the chat right now. Shout out to whoever had this in here. Matt Olson did lose his league-leading on-base streak. I believe it was 33 games, longest streak the Braves have had since Freddie Freeman in 2020. So he lost that streak tonight. He did not reach base. Kind of a bummer there. Okay, Charlie Morton's return. If you remember, if you were either at the game on Thursday, I think it was Thursday, maybe it was earlier in the week, the Angels series, or you were watching on television, Travis d'Arnaud got a nice little video package from the team when he came up to bat the first time in the game. Nice little moment. I remember watching Sean Murphy give him a hug at home plate. He did the tip the helmet and everything, waved to the crowd and all of that. One of our regular listeners, one of the everydayers to Locked On Braves, as well as a lot of my stuff over at Braves Today, Dr. Rachel Johnson, was at the game today. And she said Charlie Morton didn't get a tribute. Why is Charlie Morton not getting a tribute? This man spent 5 years in Atlanta. He won you a World Series by pitching on a broken leg. Why did Charlie Morton not get a tribute video in Truist Park? It's such a little thing that the organization can do for the player, for the fans. And it's just disappointing. It's just disappointing that he doesn't get something like that. And as Nicholas, great point in the chat here, he literally put his whole body on the line to get us a World Series win. He did. He deserved a video. And that's incredibly disappointing that he did not get one. Anyway, but moving on. One of Morton's best friends when he was on the team was Spencer Strider. And again, Strider wasn't bad today. They used Dylan Lee for 1 2/3. They used Pierce Johnson for 1 1/3. So they got out of this with only 3 pitchers. And that's what's interesting there is because of that, they have decided they are doing the bullpen game tomorrow. So your series finale, game 2, when you try to even up the series and avoid losing the series, you are going to get Aaron Bummer starting the game. You threw Pierce Johnson multiple innings today. You threw Dylan Lee multiple innings. He is they're probably not available. But here's the thing. You've thrown almost everybody recently. Daysabel and Aaron Bummer last pitched on Wednesday, so they're both going to have to do. Rafael Montero, Dylan Dodd pitched on Wednesday. You're going to need them to take extra. But Austin Cox threw 30 pitches yesterday. Eniel De Los Santos threw 20 pitches yesterday and 22 more on Tuesday. Pierce Johnson pitched tonight again. Raisel Iglesias threw 16 pitches last night. So you're going to end up using 6 pitchers to cover 9 innings probably. And it's really, I know you have Monday off, but it just feels like this organization has put so much of a focus on pitching prospects. To not have somebody you can use on Saturday is frustrating. Ryan makes a point in the chat on the Charlie Morton thing real quick. Last thing here is he says maybe he didn't want the tribute video the night he was pitching and they do it tomorrow. It is possible that that's the case. He didn't want it to be a distraction when he was pitching. But at the same time, I'm trying to remember when Sale went back to Boston. I remember Chris Sale, he was in the dugout when he got his tribute package from Boston. I just don't know if that was game 1 or if they waited until when he wasn't pitching to do it. So it's possible that there is still a tribute package planned. But I still feel like you probably get that in the first chance you get, especially when he's on the mound and everybody can give him his flowers. Everybody can cheer for him. He's on the field versus in the dugout. So I would have done it, but to Ryan's point, to not excuse the Braves, but to present the other side of this. Maybe they specifically asked, or maybe he specifically asked, hey, don't do it on my start. Do it the day after. We'll see what happens. This has been the Braves Postcast for Friday, July 4th. Thank you guys for being here. I know you could have been watching fireworks tonight. I was hoping to watch offensive fireworks. Drake Baldwin gave us a little bit, but that was it. We will be back tomorrow with another Postcast to break down what is hopefully the win in a bullpen game. Do me a favor. If you're listening on audio, leave a 5-star review, Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to both Locked on Braves and Locked on Sports Atlanta. You get everything from Jake about the Braves, but you also get Hawks, you get Falcons, all the other Atlanta sports. Until next time, this has been the Braves Postcast.